welcome back to Kingdom Reviews. I'm your host, the Future Keybearer. Well, this has been a great 3-year journey. God, has it really been 3 years? I hope the other games don't take me as long. Anyway, point is, we've finally gone through the entirety of the first Kingdom Hearts. And now it's time for me to give my overall thoughts on the game. Seeing as how this is the first time we're doing this, I'm going to give you guys a rundown about how all Final Thoughts videos are going to go. I'll be dividing these up into categories, starting with story, then gameplay, then presentation, and finally sound design. Without further ado, let's get started. Story. Let me start off by saying I appreciate the gradual escalation of this story. It starts off as a relatively simple good versus evil chosen one story. Sora has to protect the worlds from the villains that want to rule them, while trying to find his friends. But as the story progresses, it adds new twists that, honestly, are a little iffy. I'm not sure how I feel about the reveal of Ansem as the true villain. It's a good twist, and Ansem's a pretty decent villain. I just have a problem with them undermining Maleficent, the mistress of all evil. It just doesn't entirely feel right to have a huge Disney crossover like this and not have her be the final boss. Riku's turn to the dark side had a good concept going for it with the idea of doing the wrong thing for the right reasons. However, I still feel that it started off very weak. Sora is a very simple character, but I still found him very likable. He's earnest, if not a little headstrong. He was a great character to go on an adventure with. As far as the other characters are concerned, there's not much to talk about. Both Kairi and Ansem are decent, but we don't really spend enough time with either of them in this game to really get to know them. The Disney characters were all well represented. Donald and Goofy were great companions and worked off Sora very well, and the ones that appeared in their respective worlds all acted like they should, which really helped it feel like you were stepping into their movies. The Final Fantasy characters, I honestly can't judge. I've never fully played through any of the Final Fantasy games that are represented here, so I don't know if they got their characters right, but I almost didn't need to. All the characters in this game are handled in a way so that you don't need to be familiar with the source material to enjoy them here. But it definitely helps, when it's not making things more confusing. Honestly, the only real problem with the Final Fantasy characters is they're not in the game enough. Yeah, for a game that's supposed to be a huge Disney and Final Fantasy crossover, they really put more of the emphasis on Disney, don't they? There's not a single Final Fantasy world in this, and the only Disney world that has any Final Fantasy characters in it is Olympus Coliseum. But for all the quirks, inconsistencies, and honestly plot holes that are in this story, it's still so enjoyable that I really only noticed them when I was looking for them. Gameplay. The gameplay in this was so much fun. I like how they took the traditional menu selection from the Final Fantasy games and translated it to its real-time battle system. However, the transition wasn't exactly seamless. It can be a real pain sometimes to try to select a spell or item to use in the middle of a hectic battle. Luckily, the game has a shortcut system where you can pick up to 3 of your favorite spells for quick casting. And embarrassingly, I had no idea that was a thing during my first 3 playthroughs or so. But going through the entire game without it gave me a very unpopular opinion. I like the original control scheme for this game. One problem that a lot of people have with the game is that the camera controls are mapped to the L2 and R2 buttons, when most, if not all games, map the camera to the right analog stick. However, because of this, the right stick is used to control the command menu, which I think is better than using the D-pad, because then you don't have to stop moving to select a spell or item, unless you want to contort your hand. It can be a little slow sometimes. Gummy ship! And the camera is a little too close to Sora, so you can't always see everything. But overall, it was a fun battle system. Presentation. Okay, I know this is kind of lost considering the fact that I've been using footage from the PS3 version of the game, but this is one of the best looking titles on the PS2. I am not kidding. Really, the only thing that the PS3 and even the PS4 could do to make this game look better was up the frame rate. The graphical style of this game worked so well to combine the different art styles of Disney and Final Fantasy into one universe. The worlds are impeccably detailed to represent each Disney movie's visual style. At no point does Sora look out of place in these worlds. Well, other than his outfit, but still. Sound design. God, I love the music in this game. Composer Yoko Shimomura did a wonderful job creating original tracks as well as background music that sounds like it belongs in the respective Disney movie. Having said that, I do kind of wish that there was more Disney music in the game. Nothing against Shimomura's work. Again, she did an amazing job. But if the likes of Atlantica and Halloween Town taught me anything, is that having music from the original film really helps the authenticity and the magic of being in these worlds. As far as the voice acting in this game, by God, talk about a star-studded cast! Let's start with Sora, played by famed child actor Haley Joel Osment. While there are a few awkward moments, his performance is really, really good. Only issue is, I feel like his voice sounds a bit too young. I don't know, maybe I'm just used to how he sounds in the other games. Next, we got Riku, played by David Gallagher. While I have well-documented problems with the character in this game, I think Gallagher played this role absolutely perfectly. I can't think of a single moment I had a problem with his performance. Next is Kairi, voiced by Hayden Panettiere. Much like the character herself, Panettiere doesn't really get to do much in this game. But what few lines she does have are done well. Except for that freaky fucking laugh at the beginning of the game. Yeah, I will never get over that. And then we have Billy Zane as Ansem. This has got to be the best villain role I have ever seen him in. His voice is just perfect for the character and is played sublimely. Now, I'm not going to go over every voice actor individually, otherwise it'll take another 3 years just to get through them. But I will divide them into two categories. First up, the Disney characters. I gotta give the casting director mad props. They did their damnedest to try to get each Disney character's original voice actor. And whenever they couldn't get the original voice actor, they got the next best thing. As for the Final Fantasy characters, most of them came from games that were made in a time before the series had voice acting. So they could pretty much hire whoever they wanted. And their choices did well. The only actor people seem to have a problem with is Lance Bass as Sephiroth. Yes, NSYNC's Lance Bass. Though honestly, he doesn't do a bad job. Hell, all he does is battle grunts. Really, people just don't like the idea that one of the greatest villains in video game history is being played by a member of a 90s boy band. Summary. While this game is far from perfect, it's an enjoyable time with both new characters and old that any fan of Disney and or JRPGs should check out. Well, that's it for this episode, but before we move on to the next game, next time we're going to take a look at some fun facts about the first game. Video? Want to see more of them come out more frequently? Then consider donating to the Those Dudes with a Hat Patreon. For just $1 a month, you get access to Patreon exclusive posts that include production updates and answering of viewer questions. Higher tier rewards including me advertising your URL and getting your review request reviewed by me. You check out the Patreon page for more details, and if we can get close to my goal, then I can turn making videos into a part-time job.